reasons ultrawide is not even like considered to be a good idea, because it's not a normal, like it's an unusual aspect ratio. That's what it is. It's a very unusual aspect ratio, so it can get quite annoying to optimize that when you have way more stuff on left and right that you have to, like, you know, render as extra. Like 16:9 is the reason 16:9 is so like widely spread is because that's kind of like the norm, right? A lot of stuff is kind of just designed with that in mind, not ultrawide itself. And yeah, people that, like, as someone who had ultrawide for like how many years now, like 3, something like that, people say that you see more, people say that you have like more awareness, people say that it feels more cinematic. I'm gonna be completely honest, the moment you get used to it, first of all, the first time you get ultrawide, it does not feel at all like you get more like situational awareness. You don't see more because the sides of your screen are so far apart that when you look in the middle, you literally cannot tell what's happening on the left and right either way. In fact, it makes it even worse because a lot of games don't even allow you to move the UI elements closer, and if when they're like super high to the left and right, it actually makes it, you get like really confused. When you look at your like health bar on the left bottom range, you will literally not be able to see anything in the front of you in the game. But with 16:9, that's not the case. So the people that say, oh yeah, you get like more awareness or whatever, no. It is actually the opposite. It is definitely better for like cinematic experience games that are like, you know, simulators, as Chicken said. It's definitely nice for like story-based games because it does look nicer. Like you have way more stuff on the left and right. But once again, it's very more demanding. That's the word I was looking for on your hardware. And also a lot of developers like literally just don't consider it. Even if they add the support, their entire optimization process is not gonna take into account the ultrawide. They usually optimize the game around the base 16:9 because that's the norm, like as we established as well. Ultrawides are kind of like more of a rich people thing. Let's not say it's not really rich people because you can get an ultrawide for a cheaper price right now, but it's more of a luxurious style kind of gaming, or more like cinematic rather than actually anything else. Yeah, it's a niche thing kind of deal. You know, it's taken a lot more resources. You put a lot of more resources to have the game run properly on ultrawide. You would probably lose a lot of fidelity as well, because that's way more stuff rendered on left and right of the game, which is like, for the most part, where the entire game is rendered. It's not like you render a sky, it's not like you render right below your feet. So those parts are like not as important as left-right vision. That's where it's like that's where it's gonna matter the most, like LODs, like vegetation stuff, models on the side, animations displayed on the sides and such like that. So a lot of games literally just, I unironically think for the most part, a lot of games would literally just benefit a lot, or more like not benefit, lack in fidelity that it requires for it to look as good as they do. Most of the games are literally like, you know, designed for 16:9 for that. I feel like that's the main reason. Like, it's quite a bit of fidelity on the left and right corners. Not only do you like throw more resolution at your GPU itself, but also you just literally get way more shit rendered on left and right of your monitor. I mean, even NVIDIA, as I said, like when I swapped from the ultrawide today to this resolution, DLSS itself looks, unironically, it looks like way more sharper, way more detailed on 16:9 instead of on the ultrawide. On the ultrawide, it feels really weird. I can't really pinpoint what it is. It does feel a bit more blurrier, but it also just kind of, how to say it? It feels more like iffy, like in certain locations it feels like the artifacts are way more. And frame generation, just overall, on the sides of the screens with ultrawide frame generation, for example, when you use 4 times, it skips a lot of frames. But with normal like aspect ratio, frame generation just overall feels more responsive and more smoother, and it just feels like it's actually a product that was invented and was put out for usage for people. But with ultrawide, it has a lot of like little small issues, which are, to be fair, hard to spot because once again, sides of your screen, you literally barely even spot what's happening over there. People that say that you actually get like more awareness and stuff either never had an ultrawide or are just trying to, like, you know, put it in their brains to make it like work like that. No, it literally does not feel like that at all. Like, as someone put Ultrawide for the longest time ever, I didn't feel any advantage. In fact, I felt disadvantage. Because one, as I said before, the FOV sliders are not designed for Ultrawide, so most of the games will have fisheye effect. Fisheye effect is not nice at all because, one, it makes the object in the middle of you appear way further away, and the left side and right side can feel way like the closer than it usually does. And it just doesn't feel good on movement, and it also like fucks up with your brain quite a bit. So in a lot of situations where you have to aim and shit like that, Ultrawide is really just not it. It just isn't. Like in Battlefield 6, for example, today, like comparing it to when I was playing on the Ultrawide rest, my mouse movement unironically felt way better. You know how you like go from left, right and do like an arc of movement? With non-Ultrawide, it literally felt more smoother, more snappier, way more like actually like how my hand is moving with the mouse. With Ultrawide, it feels decent enough, but feels very fucking floaty. I don't know what it is about like that, why it's like that. I guess it's, I think I read on it before, it's like some sort of like FOV coefficient stuff. And it just doesn't do it properly with Ultrawide. I guess you probably could calibrate it. If the game, of course, offers it. I'm pretty sure Call of Duty and Battlefield are literally the only games that allow you to like swap your coefficient FOV aiming. That helps you ease out that curve of the Ultrawide stuff. But once again, like it's only like Battlefield and Call of Duty. It's only like a couple games that actually do it. So on the long term, if you just want less headache, if you just want to be able to like, you know, feel the game properly, feel good about it, and just have better FPS overall, less headache, less fucking problems to deal with, then you just don't go for Ultrawide, because it's like, it's really just not worth it at all. Not to mention that when you go for Ultrawide with like mid-range monitors, you just lose on a lot of fucking features. And yeah, it's just like, for the same price as an Ultrawide, like 1440p in quotations, you could get a really good 16:9 monitor. And ironically, even like an OLED at this point. Some OLEDs are unironically like in the close to the range price for a decent Ultrawide. Because of course you can get the Ultrawide that is like, you know, whatever. You could get an Ultrawide that which is like $300, and yeah, it's 1440p. It is an Ultrawide and high refresh rate and stuff like that. But yeah, you could have a better response time, you could have a better panel, you could have a better refresh rate, you could have a better pixel density, because that's another thing. Like a lot of monitors are the same resolution, but there is also a thing about pixel density and those other little gimmick stuff. So there could be a 1440p monitor and it's not gonna look the same as the other 1440p monitor. There are unironically 1080p monitors that can look more sharper and more detailed than a lot of 1440p monitors, because it depends on all of the other stuff, detailed and shit like that. And yeah, you just will never get that for a mid-range Ultrawide. And if you go for a more decent Ultrawide, anytime you go for an actual monitor, which is like 16:9, not actual but more average monitor, you will have way better pixel density, way better stuff, less headache. And I unironically think Ultrawides are specifically made for slow games still. Fast games on Ultrawide feel really weird, and it's really hard to, like, you know, not get confused almost at all. At least from my eyes, which are pretty old, of course, but I just don't think it's worth the headache overall. Unless you literally have like fucking top-of-the-line PC. But if you have a top-of-the-line PC, you could have a normal monitor and also an Ultrawide, because you literally don't care about money at that point, right? If you have a fucking, you know, top-of-the-line PC, then you just want it to work. So if there will be like any problems and you have money for it, then you will just have two monitors and swap whenever there's an issue, right? But for the people that are like actually having somewhat of a financial issue, I don't think it's ever worth it to go for an ultra-wide monitor. Especially if you do... Well, I mean, if you're only gaming, OLEDs are fine. But if you do spend like a lot of time reading something or doing some like editing software and shit like that, there is still severe burning on those. I also had a OLED phone. It did feel better, that is true, but I also had burning on it because, yeah, that's just unfortunate situation. Burning, to be fair, is not really that bad for a lot of people. You won't even spot it. I didn't spot it that much. I just knew it's there, but it never like actually fucked me up in any way or form. But I'm not sure how it would be on a monitor. I know burning can get pretty funky, but yeah, OLEDs are still very expensive. But Whenever the OLEDs get better and they get cheaper as well, I genuinely think OLEDs are gonna be probably the best norm. Yeah, you get way less response time, less ghosting on OLEDs. It's glossy panel like the old monitors where it was like, you know, not this fucking matte bullshit that they put on the monitors. The matte, the protective cover or whatever is also disgusting. I don't understand why we went for that shit instead of just getting glossy monitors, like screens. Sure, it reflects a bit, but good lord, glossy is so much better for like detail, clarity, and sharpness overall. Vibrate the vibrance of the colors and shit like that. It just overall is so much better, and I mean, let's use it for that fucking reason, because it just looks way fucking better. And I mean, phones are also glossy screens, not the fucking matte bullshit that monitors have. That is like one of the... it is a bit better, but there is still a lot of burn-in, especially if you do stuff outside of gaming. Like, if you just use your computer for gaming, then I guess OLED is probably the best thing ever, because you're literally gonna have amazing quality of everything. But yeah, I've been reading a lot on OLED, because I was genuinely considering getting an OLED, but every single monitor you can find somebody have a burn-in, so I know it's a small chance, but it's still a chance, and I'm not risking that. It's a way too expensive purchase for it to just break by design. Not to mention OLEDs also. Do we know what G-Sync is? Adaptive Sync. It's like a technology that matches your refresh rate to your FPS inside of the game. So whenever your FPS slightly like fluctuates, goes down, goes up, and shit like that, it's not gonna be that that fluctuation. It's not gonna appear as a stutter, or it won't look like there is a after image of your stuff. OLEDs suffer from severe adaptive sync flicker, and it's way worse than any other panels. I don't think I've ever seen an OLED panel that doesn't have massive flickering from adaptive sync. And adaptive sync is kinda essential. It is very essential to have adaptive sync if you want. Like, adaptive sync is one of the most important upgrades for your setup if you want a game. Refresh rate swapping while you game is making the game 1, very smooth, 2, less stuttery, 3, just feel overall fucking more responsive and better. Like, I personally cannot play without adaptive sync, and my current monitor flickers from it, and yeah, but if I try to disable it, it's fucking unplayable, man. Adaptive sync is such a fucking game changer for monitors. So yeah, my personal recommendation right now is probably gonna be fast IPS or nano IPS monitors, because one, IPS monitors suffer from way less flicker than DAs or OLEDs, and it's just has way less ghosting as well. So, and yeah, the only one, like the most important thing why you would even go for OLED is to not have ghosting or better colors, I guess. But if anything, that's like a mini LED also that does the job well, properly as well. There's a lot of shtick and gimmick on that thingy there, but yeah, OLEDs are still in a state where I feel like they're still in the beta test kind of deal, you know? Which is not gonna be for a while still, where OLEDs are gonna be the way to go, I feel. And same goes for Ultrawide. Like, Ultrawide has been out for so fucking long, and it's still in such a weird state that I don't think it's ever worth it to go for OLED if you literally just have expendable income to just go for it. But then again, I would still, honestly, like, honest to God, just get a good IPS, nano IPS or IPS, enjoy your monitor. It still has decent colors. You don't need like super insane OLEDs to have like super good clarity of stuff. It looks good, but it's so much extra headache. Like, Ultrawides also look good, but it's also extra headache. Like, I feel like it's more important to, like, you know, have more comfortable, less hindered than slightly better visual clarity and fidelity. Not to mention that I've seen a lot of OLEDs, because I was going around and walking and looking at them, and completely honest to God, there's a lot of IPS, fast IPS or nano IPS monitors that look pretty much close to it, besides the black colors. And in high, like, octane or whatever fast movement game, those black colors will look the same, because you're not gonna pay attention to them that much. And like, the only time where you will actually look at it is like some actual story game with like open world, and that's, let's be fucking honest, like, not a lot of people do that. Like, and if that's the only thing you game on, then I feel like you just already don't have a lot of time to play games anyways. So it's literally just a waste of money to spend that much on a monitor. I wish OLEDs get at one point into a state where they don't suffer a lot from burn-in. You don't have to pay like fucking $1 million for them to buy them. Because that's gonna be very nice, that's for sure. Like, it's better quality, less ghosting and shit, but it is really, really expensive right now and still in a state where it just, for anyone that's just looking for a comfortable experience, not worth it. At least I feel so. Full free monitor set of a brand new 59 so you can play League. Well, I mean, so there are people like that as well, you know? I mean, if someone has money for it, then all power to them, right? Like, I mean, yeah, at that point I would just get an Nvidia card, but one of those like studio cards, because, I mean, yeah, that's a waste of money, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's his money, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. But yeah, that's a waste of money, of course it is. Not to mention that someone that actually games could have had that 5090, right? Instead, he bought it when there is, like, demand on those. Like, there is not a lot of 5090s, and he buys it for literally, like, nothing. Like, you buy it for no reason. That's, like, kind of buying a Ferrari just for you to, like, fucking drive 10 kilometers per hour all the time with it. It's weird, but at the end of the day, it's his money, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. If that's what makes him happy, then so be it. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's the case of, you know, kind of being allowed to have the luxury of it. But yeah, once again, I know a person that has a 5090 and they had more problems than I ever did with the 5060 Ti, so, you know, the best doesn't always mean the best, right? It is a very interesting state that gaming is right now, where we have all of this cool technology, PCIe 5, PCIe fucking NVMe 5, the fucking DDR5 RAMs, the CPUs being like super fast, the GPUs being super fast, the new technology, multi-frame generation, whatever. All of it is cool. All of it is an interesting concept still, unfortunately, because a lot of those things, you buy them, but you don't even use them. There is an NVMe drive that does 11 gigabytes per second, that data transfer. And if you're a gamer, you're not even gonna use that ever. If you... Yeah, like yeah, we can reset. There is literally no reason for you to ever fucking buy all of this new gimmick shtick. Not to mention that whenever all of this gimmicky stuff came out, what happened? A lot of it wasn't even working. Like, ASRock had CPUs frying. The fucking SSDs weren't even being fucking recognized. The DDR5 RAM wasn't even fucking working properly. All of these new things are literally just pulled out for outrageous prices. Everybody's just testing them that buys them. Because they're like, oh my god, it's gonna work better or something. And it turns out that is not the fucking case at all. For the most part, shit just doesn't work. And it takes a long ass time for it to like actually start working properly. So yeah, ultrawide, I don't recommend it at all. As someone who had ultrawides for a long time now, I don't think it's worth it at all. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's like a cool and wow moment when you have it for like first week, but afterwards it just feels like you just have a normal monitor, but with extra problems, because nothing fucking works. Nothing new gimmicky, nothing crazy that is like supposed to like promise you mountains ever does give you a mountain. It usually gives you a fucking cave that you have to explore in the darkness and hope for the best.